My name is Travis. I'm here with Barrett and Shawn. Today we're going to talk some NBA. So, what are your guys' predictions on this 2019-2020 NBA season?
So as far as predictions for the East and West, who do you guys have?
I got the Bucks coming out the East this year, and honestly, I have the Clippers coming out the West, and I think they'll win the championship.
Wow. Yeah, I would have to go. I would like the Bucks too, absolutely. To be the contrarian, I would have to go with the Celtics. They're a young team, changing out Kyrie, Kemba. I think he'll be a better fit for them, absolutely. As for the West, I do like Kawhi. I think he's a beast. He definitely has. He's on a mission. He's gonna spite LeBron in LA. I agree. He's gonna win the championship.
I am with you guys actually too. I like the Clippers too, but in the East, I am gonna go the Philadelphia 76ers. I just think their lineup 1 through 5. Their smallest guy is Josh Richardson at 6'6". I mean, how can you? I mean, like who can compete with that starting five, like height wise?
Well, if you don't mind me asking, who can guard Giannis on the Sixers? And you got to think Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez, and they also got Giannis's brother, who's not going to make too big of a difference, but he'll bring some energy. And they're coming off a 60-win season too.
Yeah, that is. I don't know. I think Embiid is. I think he's the best center in the league. I mean, I absolutely hate Embiid. Don't like him. And I think Ben Simmons, if he can find his jumper, I think the Sixers are just going to be a threat this year in the East, like a true threat.
I think they're a good team. It's just if Giannis develops a jump shot, it's going to be.
Well, yeah.
And Giannis is only 24. Like people forget, he just coming off his first MVP.
Right.
Last year, they ran into a better team in the Raptors, but this year, I think it's Giannis's time.
Yeah, I like Giannis. I mean, he's one of my top 5s in the NBA for sure. I mean. So.
Yeah, he absolutely ripped my heart out watching the Pistons just get swept by him.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah,
I mean, he's unguardable. It's crazy, but yeah, I agree with you. I think he'll be a beast for sure.
I'm honestly very excited for this season. I think it's the most balanced season since 2015-2016 before Durant made one of the softest moves in NBA history, in my opinion. So I'm happy, like the Clippers, you got the Rockets, you got the Lakers, you got teams from the East like the Sixers and Bucks we just talked about. The Celtics are going to be pretty good. Brooklyn, when Durant comes back, it's going to be a pretty interesting season.
That's for sure. I think looking into the next season, I think the Nets are going to be a serious, like they honestly might be my next season's title.
Yeah,
champs,
and a big thank you to Kawhi for not, he's breaking the mold. Going to the Clippers, not joining LeBron in LA.
Right.
That was a big move. I know he's from LA. He's from that area. He grew up as a Clippers fan, so I mean, hopefully he can definitely do some good there. They are a threat as well. Him and Paul George are definitely,
and also Patrick Beverly too,
right.
At point guard. Like,
absolutely,
you got a solid 1 through 3 defensive core.
One thing. Like, thanks to Kawhi, he broke up 2 dynasties. He broke up the Heat in 2014 when they beat them in 5, and this year he finally broke the Warriors. So, like, it's just better because it's not one clear favorite.
Right, yep.
And also the Clippers are going to have one of the best defensive lineups, too, with Patrick Beverly, Mr. 94 feet, Paul George and Kawhi, who both can guard the perimeter just as good as anyone in the league right now. So it'll be fun to watch.
Nope.
You guys want to talk a little bit about the Pistons? I don't know if you guys were into that. I know.
Oh, yeah.
I know we're young.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
got a few contracts on the books.
I mean, this is probably the bias me coming out, but I honestly think they could get a top 4 seed in the East this year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with that.
I'm solely convinced on this team. This is the best team that I think the Pistons have had in years.
I'm sadly going to have to disagree with you. I do believe we'll make the playoffs, but I don't think we're a top 4 seed. We're not better than the Bucks, Sixers, Pacers, or Celtics. And there's also a few. Honestly, the Heat might be better than us. So it's just, I do agree Blake is coming off his best career year, and he's going to help. And Derrick Rose, hopefully, stay healthy. We've been saying this for 8 years, but
6th man.
Sixth man.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood. And Drummond. So I don't know. It's been the same thing, but hopefully we could finally win a playoff game. We've had 13 straight losses in NBA record, so we'll see what can happen.
The homer in me says, fingers crossed. I think Casey, he knows his stuff. I think we can, put a good group together here. I think injuries plagued us a little bit last year. We kind of fizzled out at the end, but I think Casey's going to fix that. He's a very fundamental coach.
I think Dwayne Casey was the perfect fit for the Pistons. I think that is the coach they've needed. No offense to Steve Van Gundy. I thought he was a great coach and all that with the Magic, but I just don't think he's that great anymore. So
I agree with that. I think Dwayne Casey creates a good culture, especially he got fired after winning Coach of the Year. Like, how does that happen?
I was like, I literally saw that pop up, and I'm like, how do you fire the Coach of the Year?
Yeah.
Like, after they, I mean, yeah, they had to face LeBron, but LeBron's the best player in the NBA. Like, that's no.
I do think the potential in Detroit is growing, though. I don't know. We got to see this year if they can, because we've been talking about this for years when we had Tobias and all these other guys. But hopefully this year they'll make a move. I think a 6 seed is reasonable for them. But
yeah,
I would see.
I would probably say that's probably the lowest I'd put them as a 6 seed, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think having Casey coming here to Detroit, coming into his second year, he brings a level of player development which the Pistons have been lacking for years now.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Middleton, for example, is on the Bucks. Spencer Dinwiddie's on the Nets. We've had all these guys just they'll come in, be here for a year, and then they're shipped out. Either we're cutting them or they're asking to leave, basically, and they're just asking to get packaged up in a deal, and they're out, and then they're succeeding at other areas, which really hurts. But it's good to see for them. But as a fan base for us, it hurts.
I definitely agree with that because it's like so many times we've had all these great guys, or we'll sign guys late in their career, Allen Iverson, Tracy McGrady. We even just got Joe Johnson from the Big Three. It's just
yeah, and he's struggling to make the team as we speak. As an article came out yesterday saying the former Big Three the Big Three MVP is struggling to make a spot on the team. Wow. So, which is sad, but it's the Pistons for you.
And he is 38, so I agree with that. So, do you guys want to talk about who are your guys' league MVPs for this year?
So I think Giannis, he could do it again. I think he has that mentality, not Mamba mentality, but he has that mentality that, get out of my way. He's not satisfied with what happened last year. I think he's, he wants to get back there. He wants to come out of the East. He wants to get into the finals. I fully expect him to make a run for MVP.
My dark horse is Steph Curry. I think Giannis has a great shot, but the reason why I picked Curry is, especially with Durant gone and Clay out for most of the year, even though he has to share the ball with D'Lo, I think you're going to see the 2016 Curry. I feel like he's going to get back in his old bag. He's going to, I feel like, hit a lot of shots for him, and I think he's going to shock some people this year.
I do agree with you, Travis. I do think Curry is a dark horse for MVP, just because with Clay being hurt, since I think he's out till All-Star break, I think.
About February or March.
So he's gonna be the number one guy. But if I had to pick someone, I do agree with Giannis and all that too. He's, like I said, top 5 player in the NBA for me. But I'm gonna go Kawhi. I think Kawhi, with winning the title last year, I just think he can possibly do it this year. I think him and Paul George is gonna gel really well. The Clippers.
Do you think load management might play a factor in Kawhi's MVP this year?
Probably could, I'd say. But I don't know. I'm not the biggest Kawhi fan, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I think the title motivation. I think the title is motivation for him to try and maybe become the best player in the NBA, because, there was arguments in the finals like, Kawhi's the best player in the NBA and that, but I don't know. I still think it is LeBron. But I know you can argue Davis, you can argue Giannis, you can argue so many people.
Yeah, and I think, now that LeBron has been doing it and the Spurs were like really the first ones to do load management in the NBA, I think the NBA writers kind of look past that now. I know it gave LeBron like a bad rap a few years ago when he won his MVP, and people were like, clamoring to say, hey, he really didn't play the full season. But having that now become kind of a normal social norm, I guess, in the NBA, I think the writers look past that when voting for the MVP.
I think you make a good point. I think they just mainly look at the numbers because people say last year was a down year for LeBron, but he still averaged 27, 8, and 8, which is that's still great numbers. But to go on your point about Kawhi, I think that's really the last thing he needs, like, to cement his legacy. He's already obviously a future Hall of Famer, 2-time Finals MVP, but if he can get that regular season MVP, that would really put him over the top.
Yep.
Especially if they win the title too with it this year. I think that would be amazing for him.
And like James Harden, I mean, you could also throw him in there. I don't like James Harden. I think his step back is, yeah.
I'm actually going to have to agree with you. I think Harden is a great regular season player, but he doesn't perform the same in the postseason. Like the last few elimination games they've had, he's played honestly very bad. 2017, he scored 10 points against the Spurs in that closeout game. 2018, when they lost Game 7 at home to the Warriors, he was a very big part of missing 27 straight threes, and he shot 2 of 13. Then last year, he shot 9 of 30 in the elimination game. So he just has to show up in the postseason. He hasn't been very consistent in the postseason. He's just mainly been a good regular season player.
Yeah, and I think him and Russ teaming up this season will be very dangerous. I know people have concerns about sharing the ball because both of them are very predominantly ball usage rate is very high for them. So it would be very interesting to see if they can share the rock. But if they do, I think they could be a pretty good contender in the West.
I think the West is going to be insane this year with the Clippers, Lakers, Rockets. Honestly, some people are forgetting the Spurs. Like, I don't think they'll make a run at a title, but this could be one of the first years for Popovich that they struggle really to make the playoffs. So.
And also, you got the Utah Jazz too with Conley, and that I love that addition and all that. Actually, the Jazz are probably my sleeper team in the West right now. So to make the finals, I think they can make the finals with the team that they have.
The NBA Finals or the Western Conference Finals?
I could say NBA. I could see him. I could see him possibly maybe if they get lucky too. That's
bold.
And also like injuries, you don't know what's gonna happen. What if Anthony Davis goes down for the season with an injury?
That's true, but I feel
or
like
Paul George or Cole,
I still, even if the Lakers or Clippers weren't to make it, I don't know if the Jazz are better than the Rockets. Honestly, I don't know if they're better than the Spurs or Nuggets. And you also got to remember Portland made the West Finals last year too. So
true. Yeah, Portland.
There's still a lot of good teams.
I'm high on Utah this year. Honestly, my friend on PlayStation always gets NBA game time. That is probably the team I'm gonna watch a majority of the games this year, just because I think it's gonna be a great season for Utah.
Yeah, and I know the Nuggets are young. They have Michael Porter Jr., who's coming off an injury. They drafted Bobo this year. So, they definitely have some young pieces in the works. They could be a team, not this year, but I'd say maybe next year, could make a run towards the Western Conference Finals.
And they were also the 2 seed last year, so
right.
They were a couple wins away.
It was a very weak 2 seed, to say the least, but they just,
I agree with that.
Yeah, it wasn't that as strong as everyone thought, but they had the record, so that's how it gets you there.
They honestly reminded me of like the 2015 Atlanta Hawks. Like, you knew they were a high seed, but like you knew they just weren't going to win it. Like, and Jokic is nice. Honestly, that's another person who can make a run at MVP. So him and Jamal Murray, and like you said, Michael Porter Jr. So that's going to be fun to watch.
There's also Gary Harris too, former Michigan State Spartan too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he can definitely shoot lights out. He's a stone cold shooter right there for sure.
How about sixth man of the year, guys? Who do you guys got for
sixth man of the year? This is a little biased, but I think Lou Will. I think especially with Paul George out till November, he's going to get starters minutes, but probably not start. So I think he's going to probably win another sixth man of the year award this year.
I hate to take it from you because I like Lou Will. He's won it I think he's won it 3 out of the 5 past years, I believe.
You're correct.
So he's that's his role. If you find your niche in the league, that's what you're going to do. But I'd have to agree with you. What about you, Shawn?
I'm going to go a Piston player. I'm going to go Derrick Rose. I'm going to go Derrick Rose.
A little bias or?
Bias, yeah.
You're good.
No.
I just think his season last year with Minnesota was really good, and I am hoping for MVP Derrick Rose in the Pistons, but I'm hoping. But if we can get if I can see the numbers out that he got last year, I'll be satisfied, and I think And I think because I think they honestly are going to start Reggie. I don't think they should. I think it should be Derrick Rose starting because I don't like Reggie Jackson at all.
I completely agree. I think we should trade Reggie. He hasn't done nothing.
He hasn't done anything.
Yeah, and I know we have one more year of contract with him. I'm not entirely sure who is going to be starting. I know everyone's high on Bruce Brown coming into training camp.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Kennard is supposed to be, I guess, starting as our shooting guard. I don't want to see Derrick Rose come off the bench, but if that's what he has to do to keep his minutes down and that way he's able to maintain his health throughout the year, I would be, I'd be satisfied with that.
Mm-hmm.
I hope, I want Blake to repeat what he did last year. I think it'd be great.
I think he can. I think Blake can.
Yeah.
I love Blake. He is my favorite player in the NBA right now. Yeah. So, hands down. So,
you guys ready to transition to some NFL?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
No. So, what is even though it's early in the season, just week 5, what is your guys' opinion on the Lions so far?
So, I'm very excited. I'm a homer. I know. I'm very biased towards them, but I honestly think they look like previously they were putting the top rankings for, they were 5th, I believe, 5th or 4th in the top rankings for the power rankings in the league. I'm super excited. Like we, went toe-to-toe with the Chiefs. Some 50-50 balls didn't go our way. We didn't have Slay out there this past week. We held Mahomes to 0 touchdowns. I honestly think this is a perfect time for us to get a bye week. We're gonna, lick our wounds a little bit on the loss, but we're able to run the ball. Stafford, this gives him a week to be healthy, and honestly, I think if we just get our offense a little more in check, him and Bevel getting on the same page, I honestly think we could be, a playoff team. I don't know about the NFC North Championship, but I definitely able to slide in for the wild card, and it would be really nice for the hometown for sure.
Go ahead.
My bad. Honestly, I agree. I think Stafford's been good so far. I think our offense has looked very good. Honestly, after the first week against the Cardinals, tying with them, they've looked great. I mean, we beat the Chargers, who went 12-4 last year, Eagles, who won a Super Bowl 2 years ago, and are pretty healthy. So, I think we're doing pretty good. And we held fences with arguably the best team right now in the NFL and the Chiefs. So, I agree.
I think I am really excited about this Lions team this year. I think before this Chiefs game, they should have been no ties. Like, it should have been 3-0 or 4-0, whatever it would have been. Because I think the offensive coordinator did kind of screw us on that Arizona game because he did call timeout at a horrible time. In that, because I was like watching it. I'm like, why would you call timeout? Stafford got the ball off in dime. Like, why? And that I was just sitting there screaming at my TV. I'm like, why? But yeah, I'm high on the Lions this year, and I think the bye week is a perfect time because they do got the Packers next Monday night. So, and that's going to be a tough game in Green Bay. So that's going to be really tough.
Yeah, and Patricia being in his second year, I think the only problem he has, he's now showed that he can now go out and get these players either from the branch of the Patriots or who play to that similar style of the Patriots. The only problem I think I have with him is I think he takes his foot off the gas when we're up in these late games. They show it when we were in Arizona in week 1. I think he took his foot off the gas when we were playing against the Chiefs. I think we just don't get aggressive with defensive calling or playing even with offense. I know he probably doesn't have that much input into the offense, but I'm sure he's ultimately the head coach, so he's responsible for that. I mean, that's just the one thing I'd like to see him change coming off the bye week. Just be aggressive, especially when we're playing the Packers on Monday night. Yeah.
That's very true because the first game against the Cardinals, we were up 24-6. Our win probability was around 97%, I believe, and we tied against a rookie quarterback. We should have closed that out. A number of games last year too. We just need to, Patricia and the Lions just need to get it together more. But I do feel like it is a start to a year. It's been pretty good because no one really expected us to start the way we did. Because a lot of people expectations are 5-11 or 6-10 again, but I think we'll turn some heads. I still personally believe they'll finish around 8-8 or 9-7 as a wild card, but because I just don't think we're better than the Bears or Packers. But I do believe we can beat the Vikings, who have been struggling very bad this season.
Yeah, I would have to say 9-5-1 is probably where we're sitting at. That's where I think. Okay. I think we're going to be able to steal a few games on the road. Hopefully, hopefully we can split with the Packers. I would really love it if we could sweep the Vikings. The Bears, they are an absolute wagon right now. Their defense is insane. We can just only hope and pray to contain Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's going to be up to that. I know our offensive line is a little bit young, and we've had injuries with Decker, and hopefully, he can stay healthy, and we're able to contain that during the time we play him.
And one thing I thought about since you brung up the Bears, man, I can't believe they passed Pat Mahomes for Mitch Trubisky. Could you imagine that team with the best defense in the league and arguably going to be a 2-time MVP at age 24? That would be insane.
I can't believe Patrick Mahomes. The man's unreal. It's like I just don't know how he's doing it at a young age. Because to be honest with you, I think last year, I've never heard of Patrick Mahomes. I'm like, he just came on the scene. I'm like, who is this?
Yeah.
He just came out of nowhere and just won MVP his rookie year. It's like, what the hell? So.
And credit to the Lions. They are the only team so far in his career to not allow him to throw a touchdown or run for a touchdown in that matter. So, I mean, Patricia knows his stuff. Belichick wouldn't try to keep him if he was an idiot. So, I'm definitely, excited. That's a little check in the mark or tin in the cap, whatever they call it. You know what I'm talking about? But just for them. So
yeah, and also too that game against the Chiefs, and also that was Patrick Mahomes' first game in a dome too. So and we almost beat him. So I think that's impressive. So
since we are on football, what is your guys' predictions on possible Super Bowl contenders this year and winners?
So I'm very excited to see if Tom Brady can go for his, I believe it's his 7th ring, correct?
Right.
That would be awesome if he, he's a Michigan man, so it would be really awesome if he could go 7 rings and then just retire. Because Lord knows, I don't think anyone else is coming back. Gronk, it'll be interesting to see if Gronk comes back in the middle of the season. I know he touched on it week 2 of preseason. That is my pick for the Super Bowl.
I mean, I think it's hard to argue Patrick Mahomes out of the AFC. I mean, I think it's going to be them and the Patriots in the AFC title game. As far as NFC, I was watching the Thursday night game last night between the Seahawks and the Rams. I actually kind of like the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks look decent. They got lucky. The Rams kicker missed a field goal with no time left to win it, but I don't know. I like the Seahawks. I think I'm just watching that game yesterday and all that. And I know they've struggled the past couple of years after their Super Bowl win, but I don't know. I like Russell Wilson. I think he's really good. So I'd maybe go with the Seahawks in the NFC.
For me, I have to agree with Barrett. I'm a Tom Brady fan, so I believe the Patriots will. I think it'll just be remarkable just to get a 7th ring and all he's been through. I think he's just a GOAT. He's proven it year after year. I am a little worried about the Chiefs, but I think Brady's proven, especially last year, beating them, in Kansas City and also beating them in the regular season when they were fully healthy, when they also had Kareem Hunt. I just think they're going to win it this year. But it's going to be tough, though, because it's not the same Patriots team, but I do believe Edelman's going to come through again, Josh Gordon. And it's going to be, honestly, interesting year. So I got New England. I think it's going to be New England and maybe the Seahawks because Russell Wilson's impressing me too. Last night was, since you touched on the Thursday night game, was arguably the best night of his career. 17 of 23, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. That was great, especially that throw to
touchdown catch by I don't know who.
Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, Tyler Lockett.
That was reminiscent of Santonio Holmes in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's interesting to see if the Seahawks can make this run to see if they can shore up their defense because that was the first game I felt like the Rams' offense was moving the ball. I am a Todd Gurley fantasy football owner. Sorry, it's very sad because he has been honestly horrendous. He's only gotten, I believe it's only 80 touches through the first 4 games, which is down immensely from the past 2 years. With him having 140. So I don't know if he's hurt. Sean McVay doesn't like him anymore. Whatever it is. Jared Goff was terrible in the first half, and then he just I don't know what they gave him at halftime. He woke up, which was great, but I mean it would be interesting to see if the Seahawks can keep that defense mentality, because I know their secondary is a little depleted. Their linebackers are great, but
especially with the loss of Eric Thomas. Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. So
I mean, I just love the NFL. I think it's going to be interesting to see. Another, like the Chiefs, you got the Ravens. A lot of people are high on the Browns, but they're still like in the middle of the pack. So I just think the Chiefs probably pose the best competition to the Patriots. It might honestly depend who has home field, if it's in Foxborough or if it's in Kansas City.
Right.
But Brady wins big games, man. Like last year, that was one of the best games, honestly, I've ever seen, the AFC title game. He won it again in overtime. My main man, Matthew Slay, got heads 3 straight times he's won the coin toss, and they won it. So,
yeah, no, that's the beauty of the NFL is, it's not like the NBA in the previous years where you can automatically just slot like the Warriors and the Cavs into the finals, and it's we had it 3 straight years ago. That's the beauty of the NFL, is because there's so many variables in and around the game that that can change the whole outcome of someone's season. An injury of a quarterback. Thank the Lord, the Saints have done a very good job with throwing Teddy 2 gloves in there for Drew Brees. That shows like they're resilient and like that. I mean, I don't know what we would do if we had Stafford go down. I know he's lingering with a hip injury. I believe it's Tom Savage is our backup, but I just don't have any faith in Tom Savage, sadly. But that's the cool thing about the NFL is you're able to have a different winner. I mean, I know the Patriots have always come on top, but you don't know that for sure.
right.
Like it's good to see like variety mixed up, especially at the top.
I definitely agree with that because, even though Brady's made the Super Bowl half of his career 9 times in 18 years, going into his 19th season, they're usually all different winners, like the Eagles, in 2018. And there's been a few, like the Steelers, Packers, and there's been different winners. So I think that is pretty cool about the NFL because it's just a one-game NBA. It's best of 7, so you kind of know who's the better team because you don't get lucky 4 times. So.
And the main reason why I can't put the Patriots in is just because I don't like the Patriots. I don't like Tom Brady. I'm not a Michigan guy. I'm a State guy. So that's kind of like another reason why I can't put him in.
But would you?
I don't care how good he is. Like,
would you agree he's a GOAT?
Yes,
Okay.
I would.
Yeah, he is the GOAT. I mean, there's no one better who amplifies consistency under any conditions. Whether he's having like dudes picked up off the street who are he's throwing the balls to, or he doesn't have a running back. I mean, it's honestly crazy to see how consistent he is with all the lack of talent he's had around him. With Antonio Brown coming there, it was going to be like the first time he'd had someone since Randy Moss because they just don't have like stud receivers that come there. I mean, Belichick just picks some dude from Kent State and plugs him right in, and then he's like 150 yards for 20 catches. And it's crazy. But he's definitely the GOAT for sure.
And that's definitely a great point because Julian Edelman was a quarterback in college. Like a lot of people forget that Chris Hogan played lacrosse. So like Brady's turning all these guys to great players. Rob Gronkowski turned him to one of the greatest tight ends in his short time. James White, Sony Michel. People might think it's a system, but the Patriots aren't the Patriots without Tom Brady. Even though Bill Belichick is the greatest coach, you need a quarterback to like lead. Because before Brady, Drew Bledsoe, they were just an average franchise, and since Brady, it's been 6 rings.
Yeah, I think the Patriots are good, but like I said, I can't bet against Patrick Mahomes right now. I can't do it. I just think he's on another level. All that. And I actually did see a thing on First Take, and it was like, oh, is Patrick Mahomes the greatest star currently in like all of sports and all that? And I'm like, yeah, you probably could argue that, but like, I don't know. I just still think you got LeBron, you got Tom Brady, like they're clearly bigger because they've done more. But it is impressive what Patrick Mahomes has done in his short time in the NFL. He's easily going to be a Hall of Famer. Like I think one thing with Mahomes, he's kind of in a way getting like a Steph Curry treatment without, like when Curry won his first MVP in 2015, you see everybody just like kind of hop on the Warriors bandwagon. Then when he won his unanimous MVP, you see kids now in high school trying to shoot threes from, half court because he revolutionized the game.
And that's what Patrick Mahomes is doing too. Like, they showed the highlight of him looking back at the ref when he was running for the first down. So Mahomes to me is having like a Steph Curry effect to the NFL, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate to see as coming from a Lamar Jackson standpoint, is he is actually breaking out this year, and it's kind of still getting in the second place compared to what Mahomes is doing, just because he's still playing at such a high level. Lamar was he was ridiculous in college for Louisville. He could throw anything on a dime, and then it seemed to me when he got to the combine, all he had was accuracy issues, nothing with the arm, just accuracy issues. You have writers telling him, go to wide receiver, go to running back, don't play quarterback. It's nice to see that he's proving the haters wrong this year, but it's still, I believe it's getting overshadowed just because of Mahomes and his ability to play at such a high level for a consistent amount of time.
I definitely agree with that. Lamar Jackson has had a great start to the season. I do think the reason why Mahomes is getting a little more recognition, the head-to-head matchup, Mahomes did outplay him a little bit. And even in the game you talked about earlier with the Lions, he didn't throw a touchdown, but he still had over 300 yards passing. And he still hasn't thrown – I believe he hasn't thrown a pick so far this year. So he's just – I don't know, Mahomes is just different because, like, the lowest scoring game he's had as a Chief is 26 points. And he tied Peyton Manning's record of 15 straight games with 2 TDs or more. No, my bad. He came one game short of it with 14, which is – he's been insane. I think he's a clear-cut favorite to win the MVP again, and Russell Wilson, I think, is a close second for me.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think Russell Wilson, I mean, if he puts on the performances the rest of the season like he did last night, I think you could maybe throw him in MVP talks too. So I do totally agree with that, 100%.
You guys ready to switch gears? So we can hop back to NBA, but obviously this is a topic that's always talked about, every lunch table, every barbershop. Who is the GOAT in the NBA of all time? Michael Jordan, LeBron, or another player? What do you guys think?
So I'm a big MJ guy. Nothing against LeBron. I just know, looking at defensive efficiency rating in the past 5 years, LeBron doesn't play defense as much as like people think. He takes plays off. I've always just been an MJ guy just because I didn't really watch him a ton growing up, but I knew like that's who I was like. That's the guy I want to be if I was playing basketball. If you don't know what I look like, I'm a 5'10" chunky white guy who can just shoot the corner three. So I'm not anywhere close to being like Mike, but in my opinion, I would definitely have to say, rings plus minus, MJ's got more. I would have to go with MJ.
It's MJ. There's just, I don't think there's a discussion right there right now. So
I guess you're not going to get no debate out of me because I'm the biggest MJ fan too. I think it's just the reason why he's a GOAT, just 6 rings. And when you look at a resume, it's just more than LeBron, more MVPs, more finals MVPs, more defensive player of the years, and more all-first defensive teams. And one thing Jordan doesn't get credit for, he's still the only player in history of the NBA to have an MVP, scoring title, and defensive player of the year all in the same season. And it's just hard to really put a guy ahead of him when he left the sport and came back and won 3 straight titles. And I feel like he's had more of an impact. And one thing, even though LeBron is great, and I've watched him my whole life, people try to overlook his bad finals performances. People try to act like 2011 against the Mavericks didn't happen, or 2014 when he averaged 2 points in the fourth quarter against the Spurs. So like people just look at 2016 and forget everything else. But 3 and 6 is hard to really forget about.
Yeah, he couldn't back down J.J. Barea. I remember that. Just like the entire finals, he was getting bodied by a 4'8". I don't know. He's not that tall, but just getting bodied by him. And so that's all he did that whole offseason was work on his post move, backing up to the basket. But yeah, you're right. No, people do, especially the LeBron stanners. They definitely
the worst.
Yeah, they are the worst. They I think it's the Nick Wrights. They want to just say, "Oh, I've never seen that. Like no one ever does this like LeBron." And then you can just point at so many examples to where this is LeBron and this is MJ, and then the only person who's going to come close to MJ in that regard, I think, is Kawhi, where he could win that defensive MVP and then the scoring title. I mean, he's built like that. Like he's a different dude. So I mean, he's got the laugh, he's just got the Stone Cold mentality. Like he's honestly might be a robot. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we found out in 5 years. Kawhi is just he's like
next
just
season.
he's an android. But yeah,
I definitely agree because Kawhi, I don't know what he does in his free time. I don't know. He's just like really no one knows what type of guy he is because he doesn't do nothing besides awkward laugh on media day last year. But I think I agree with you. He's only 27, especially if they win it this year. That will be 3 rings on 3 different teams. And honestly, I know you said earlier LeBron's the best player, but Kawhi, you can really make a definitive argument Kawhi might be the best player in the league right now, especially with Durant hurt.
Oh, no, I think you could make, like I said earlier, I think you could make tons of I think you could argue Kawhi, you could argue Giannis, just to name a couple, as best player in the NBA right now. So, I mean, personally, I would still say LeBron, though, just because at the age, the numbers that he's putting up is just, it's phenomenal. Like, it's unbelievable to watch, in my mind.
yeah, and I think he's got guys this year. I know people were all hitting the under when they said, is he going to make the playoffs, win this so many games down there in Las Vegas Sportsbook. But I think now that he's actually got guys, it's tough to see Boogie suffer another injury. But I believe him and AD are going to come out, and they're just going to be a different breed, I guess. Hopefully they can work together. I've never seen 2 real big men like that come together, but AD doesn't really handle the ball, so I know it's all, it's space and pace now in the NBA. I know like the Pistons are like the only team that like doesn't do that, so which is unfortunate, but I'm just excited to see it. Like NBA to me has just been I wasn't really into it growing up. I really got into it maybe in like 2013 during LeBron's decision. I'm gonna take the talents down to South Beach, and that's like got me hooked because like free agency is crazy now. It's unbelievable in the NBA. It's not like the NFL, the NHL. It's not like the MLB. Like MLB, yeah, but they put like 20 years on your contract, and then no one's moving. The cool thing is about the NBA is you're able to do 1 year, and then you're able to just move like Kawhi has done. So that to me, that's just pretty cool.
Honestly, I agree. For me, I started a little early, like right when the Pistons beat the Lakers in the 04 finals. That's when I started getting into it. And free agency is honestly the best thing because you never know what's going to happen. Then there's also so many shocking trades. Like right when Kawhi signed with the Clippers, no one saw the Paul George thing happening outside of LA.
For sure.
So I just think it's so many different factors that make the NBA such a great sport, and I think this year is definitely going to be one to remember. And I don't know. I just think the Clippers are going to do it. I think when Paul George is fully healthy, LeBron, they can. And I'm not trying to sound like a LeBron hater, but there's really no excuse. You have Kuzma, he's going to be fully healthy at some point. Danny Green, who's coming off a championship. And AD is still the best big man in the league. Fully healthy, AD's 28 and 12, 5 easy. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm like with you. I think it's the Clippers' year. I think, like I said earlier, Kawhi winning the finals last year. I think that's just motivation for him to try and do it on his own because it kind of is just his and Paul George's team this year. So, I mean, like last year, yeah, you could say it was his team, but you had Pascal Siakam who really broke out as one of the better power forwards in the league. I mean, he is. I mean, for a not well-known guy, he honestly surprised me as winning most improved. I didn't see him. I thought it would have been like a Karis LeVert, who is my most improved player of the year this upcoming year. Yep.
Okay.
And I mean, you could have argued Derrick Rose. You could have argued De'Aaron Fox, who I really like as a point guard in that. So, but yeah. I think it's the Clippers' year this year. I put them slightly over the Lakers, not like a tremendous amount, but slightly.
I agree with that. I think the championship will more than likely be in LA this year, between them or the Lakers. I'll really be shocked if anyone from the East makes it out, regardless if it's the Bucks or Sixers, makes it and wins the finals. I just think it's going to be a Western Conference team because the West is just so stacked this year. The Lakers, Clippers, Rockets, Spurs, all these other teams you talked about, the Jazz. Portland is still pretty good. So it's going to be interesting to see, but I'm very excited. It's going to be a great year.
This is easily the most excited I've been for an NBA season. I don't know about you guys, but
no, I'm definitely am. I'm curious to see. I know Adam Silver proposed at last All-Star break to making a mid-season tournament.
I did see that
for the NBA. It doesn't matter conference or whatever. You're just gelled into one seed, and then I would like to see what are you guys' thoughts on that and how this would possibly affect the NBA.
I personally just think they should just keep it the same. I mean, I just think it's been like that for years. Why change it now?
I agree because a lot of guys, especially with the load management, they're going to be fatigued, and I don't think it's going to interest a lot of people. So I think they should just keep it the same because I understand what he's trying to do. You're trying to launch something to make it more interesting, but you already got a lot of fans what you're doing now, and there's already excitement, especially with new guys and new jerseys. Like I already see people wearing the Leonard jerseys, so I think you should just keep it the same. Yeah.
What's your guys' thought? I know the G League was going to just a one free throw shot thing. What's your guys'?
Yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. I actually don't even can you explain to me how that works? I know I didn't see I've seen it, but I really didn't know how it worked.
I think it's for a free throw. I think you just get one shot instead of two. I think.
Does it count for two or does it count for one?
I think it just counts for one. I'm not sure. I just heard about it that they were going to like a one free throw shot.
I just think that's very dumb. You should keep this. Like, I don't understand the point because you're taking another point away. And plus, what if it's a game you're down by one and you got the free throw line with a chance to win it, but you can only tie it, then lose in overtime. So I just think that takes away from the game.
Yeah, like I credit the NBA for being like a very progressive league. They did change the shot clock rule, which I think is probably the best thing they've done in a while. I know they're toying with the idea of moving back to 3-point line, which would ultimately have a trickle-down effect to college and then possibly high school. I mean, credit to them. I think you're right, keeping the 2 free throws, because then I believe people would just foul people especially if you're up by 3. You would just foul people to put them on the line. Do the old North Carolina thing and just you'd never give them a chance. And then I think that would, viewership might go down because of that. It makes it less exciting for the fan to watch someone shoot one free throw and then have to do it again over and over. You'd rather see the buzzer beaters and then the game winners when you see the stands exploding with excitement and joy. But yeah.
What's your guys' thought also on the coaches challenge too? The NBA this year.
I like it. I think it's good, and I think it's also going to bring more excitement to the game. So I think it's a very good idea, especially young kids too. They're seeing how the game is, moving forward in a good way. So I think it's good.
I think it'll definitely change the NBA. It could make or break them.
Yeah. So honestly, I think that's a really great idea. I know they have worried about pace of time time of how long they take to review these. I know they have come out with the 2-minute post-game report. They do the last final minutes, and then they release it to the public. I think that's great. Honestly, the NBA has done a very good job in the past 5 years, just redoing their rules or making the game faster. I wish baseball would, take something out of the playbook of that because it's impossible. I don't know how I was watching baseball when I was younger because it's so slow now. It's terrible.
Agreed.
But yeah.
Well, that'll be all for our podcast today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Barrett and Shawn, thank you guys. Listen in next week as we talk about NBA, football, and baseball, hottest topics in sports.